words said in the aftermath are just too confusing. Now I spend my days watching you throw stones at someone who's already dead. And if this is the way we all began, so how can I ask for any more?
Somebody need me too much. Somebody know me too well. Somebody pull me up short. Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you. Someone sneaking around in their tippy toes. Seriously, though, you should knock. But let's not get off on the wrong shoeless and stockinged foot. Welcome back to another episode of The Stages of Minnesota. Today, we have a couple of reviews for you, but before we get to that, I have an interview that left me a little starstruck. In the spring of 2020, the COVID pandemic shut down, along with everything else, theaters. Some shows never opened, others closed early. One of those that closed early was Interstate the Musical, which was produced by Mixed Blood Theater. I saw the show opening night, loved it, went back again, and had plans to see it several more times during its run. When word came down that the night's performance would be the last, due to an order from the governor to close all theaters, I canceled another show to see it one last time. Interstate the Musical is in my top 5 musicals of all time, and a big part of the impact that show had on me was the performance of Sushma Saha. Sushma is a New York-based actor, and so when the show closed, it was possible I might never see them again. When I saw that Sushma was in the cast of Theater Moo's upcoming play, Maybe You Could Love Me, which opens this week, I knew I had to try and get them on the show for an interview. Before we go to that interview, I want to clarify a couple of things. You will see me check in or be corrected by Sushma throughout on the pronunciation of their name. Faithful viewers will have picked up by now that I do not have the nimblest of tongues. My brain has the vocabulary of a French chef, but my tongue has the palate of a Norwegian farmer who doesn't talk a lot. So, let me first apologize to everyone whose name I have ever or will ever mispronounce in the future. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and I am trying my best. I want to thank Sushma, who even after helping me practice several times, never lost patience with me and was very understanding of my mental failings in this particular aspect of language development. Secondly, I want to acknowledge that I was indeed starstruck and found myself so overwhelmed that I was actually sitting and talking with one of the stars of Interstate the Musical that I had a little trouble remembering what I wanted to ask. It also perhaps didn't help that it was the second interview we had shot that day, which also explains the state of my hair, which you may notice is a little frazzled. Don't worry, I didn't pick the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. This was a bit of a dream come true, and it's only as I was editing the footage that I thought of all the things I forgot to ask or wish I had asked. So, now my dream is for Sushma to come back for another show, giving me an excuse to ask all of those follow-up questions. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did having it. I'm here with Sushma Saha, who will be appearing in Maybe You Could Love Me at Theater Moo. The performance is where?
It'll be at Mixed Blood Theater.
The first time I saw you perform was at Mixed Blood Theater. That was for Interstate the Musical.
By Melissa Lee and Kit Yen, both brilliant writers.
It is in my top 5 musicals of all time.
No way! That's a big honor, thank you.
I was crushed that it closed early.
Me too.
When I heard it was closing, I'd already been twice.
Yeah.
It closed because of COVID. I was scheduled to see another show that night, and I called and canceled so I could see it again. My son George and I saw it all 3 times. George is transgender. The show spoke to him a lot, to both of us as a family. When are they mounting that again? I want Interstate.
Rob, here's something you need to understand, okay? I speak for all actors. We don't have say in these things. Like, actors have very little power when it comes to the structure of like productions and theater within a capitalist society. So, I mean, I wish I could tell you, but it's just not my business.
I'm going to try and get the new artistic director of Theater Moo's ear this winter and say one of the best musicals I've ever seen is a perfect fit for Theater Moo. God, I love that.
I'd love to do it again. Listen, I wouldn't complain. I'd be happy to do it again.
It's very small, intimate, but it's so powerful. And my son George and I, like I said, we saw all three together, and we brought other people with. Like after we saw it, because of the subject matter, we're like, oh, we gotta come again, and we gotta bring your mom and my wife and whoever we can get to come. Hey, it's closing tonight. Can you go? Yeah, okay. I'll cancel my other show, we'll do it. Which is, I should say, is not something I would normally do. I do not cancel on shows. Once I promise to come review it, I don't do that. But Interstate was a special case. And I would do it again for Interstate.
Thank you, very kind. Thank you.
George and I talk, and we're like, hopefully we'll get to see it again someday, but won't have this cast. At least if Sushma is in it, it'll be good.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
Because there's a few songs where it's just like, I don't know that anybody else can really capture that sound.
That's really, really nice. Thank you. If I know anything about Interstate, I still have nothing to tell you.
But can you plant seeds? Say, I hear that Theater Moo might be interested. We don't know that, but just say that. And then they'll reach out, hey, we heard you might be interested. Well, we should be, maybe.
Here's what I'll say. I don't like to force anything. I think if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So I don't want to force anything that's not meant for me. If it's going to happen, which of course I want it to happen because it's supposed to happen, not because I try to orchestrate something, you know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel it should be orchestrated, and I will do what I can to make sure that happens.
Listen, Rob, I respect your opinion.
Or even a cast recording.
That I'd be so down for.
Yeah.
That I would be so down for.
Right.
Yeah. But again, not up to me.
Right. I was so thrilled when I heard that you were coming back to do this play. I'm like, oh, can I talk to her? Can we talk? Because that would be great.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Dreams do come true.
They do. But you are here for a new play called Maybe You Could Love Me.
By Sushma McG. Yep.
Tell us about that.
I'd never seen or read a play that really got to showcase two brown or black or Muslim girls talking about things that people wouldn't necessarily think that they would talk about because of stereotypes, because of media, the way that people have portrayed, Muslim culture, and that it just to hear, and also to hear Muslim women talk about these kinds of things that you will hear when you come and see the show. It's just so full of heart, and it's playful, and it's devastating, and it's really alive. And that was the first thing that struck me when I read it first, was that it just had so much breath, and it was it was a beating, living thing, and it was really thrilling.
So you're living in New York City.
My friend Mukta, actually, shout out to Mukta, she sent me this casting call. She also lives in New York City. I was like, yeah, so I submitted it like any other actor would do for any audition, being like, I'll send it along, we'll see what happens, not sure. Because as an actor, I'm always like, I assume everything's gonna be a no, but the way that I audition, I'm like, this is what I have to offer. If it's not for you, totally fine, totally get it. And then when it does click, it's really exciting. So, yeah.
What do you prefer to do, musicals or plays?
I think when I was like pre-18, as a child, I was really insecure about my acting, thinking I wasn't grounded in anything and that I wasn't convincing. And actually my career has been pretty even in regard to plays and musicals, maybe honestly even more plays, which is really interesting, and it's very affirming for my younger self. And I got a degree in musical theater, and so it's nice to know that I'm my acting chops are able to kind of hold down what I need to do. But I don't think I have a preference. I think that it just depends on where I am in my life, and right now I'm really happy to be doing this play. So,
well, in the interim, after Interstate and before now, tell me about 1776.
Oh, I mean, yeah. So yeah, part of the revival of 1776, directed by Diane Paulus and Jeffrey L. Page. I mean, I mean, Broadway debut, right? Can't really compete with that. I was so thrilling. I'll never forget when I got the email that I booked it. I was floored. No, but that cast was so killer. I mean, to be surrounded by other women and trans and non-binary folks, most of them were also people of color. Especially after the pandemic, like having that kind of be one of my first big gigs back after like we were still in the pandemic, but kind of easing our way out of it slowly.
Right.
To be in a cast of that big with like 24, 25, 26 other people, and it was really, really, really thrilling.
So this play, the play explores how scary it can be to deviate from your life, your family, your loved ones, and your community, how they envision you. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about those expectations, how they affect the characters, and do you relate to this at all?
I mean, definitely when I was younger, I related to it, yeah. I'm very, very grateful where I feel like I'm in a place now where as long as I'm showing up for me and behaving how the expectations that I have for myself is what really matters most. For my character, Sajida, to have the kind of family structure that she has within this community of the Muslim community that they are in Florida, fictional community, but in this structure, to have a mother who is, separated from her husband, to have a dad that's not very present in her life, and to be surrounded by other people who are of your community, who are of your religion, who are of your everyday life, and then to see the structures that are not in your household, it can be really tough to see people with a mother and a father in the household, to see, to see the duality of what she's expected of at home and what her mother's expectations have changed of like, hey, I'm not with my husband anymore. You're in this world, you have to work hard and do what you have to do to get where you need to go and to be successful. So for her to have other aspirations outside of having a family right away or getting married right away or, to even stay with the faith is really, really brave. On the other side of it, looking at people who are not like Sajida, people who do want to get married and have families and stay in the community and follow the faith. I think there's also a bravery to that too, because I feel like there is a lot of judgment upon Muslim people in this country specifically. But no, I think that for Sajida, she's combating what her community is viewing of her and what they expect of girls like her, but then also, hearing this other voice of her mom and seeing what her mother is going through. And, again, what you see in your house, I think really shapes what you pursue in your life, right. Whether you do exactly that or the opposite of that. And so It's tough. I mean, we see these girls at 8 and 17 and 26, and to be 17 is such a pivotal point in your life. It's so formative. And I think to have those things you're grappling with of the expectations is really, I remember it was tough. It was really tough. So when you outgrow that or, how you move through that, it really can set a precedent for how, future years look.
Talk about playing the characters at different ages.
As an actor, it's like the most fun challenge. Forming a character and the cadence in which they talk, their physicality, take that and then go to say 8 years old. And then it's kind of fun finding, okay, what gestures having become from when she was 8 that now we see when she's 17, or vice versa. What things did she drop? What things did she not do anymore? And 17 and 26, it's I don't know about you, but I feel like when I think about when I was 17, here I'm kind of like, well, not that much different, but that's just not true. I'm like so incredibly different. But it's because time is a funny thing, right? So I look back, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that long ago. No, it was 9 years ago. Like it was a long time ago. Lots changed, lots happened, including the way that I move through life and the way that I talk and the way that I move my body and the way that I gesture. And also to keep track of like what has happened, what the lore, what has transpired within these people's lives. And so tracking that and like kind of figuring out the puzzle pieces and also again tracking what influences this behavior or these gestures or this physicality or the way that they talk now, and the relationship between, her and Noor, my scene partner played by Ashe, incredible actor. It's the best kind of like puzzle and like game of and challenge, like I said, having to convincingly do those to play this young woman at 3 different stages of her life. Right. It's really, really thrilling.
And do you get to do it at least chronological, or
No.
it skips around?
It skips around, which again is even more
Right.
fun. And our director, Katie Bradley, a brilliant woman. She has, she's very, very gracious to give us in our transitions between each scene, like to kind of have time to, change set, change costume, and then like through that, so at least we have time to kind of, do what we need to do to get into our next phase of self, whether we're going back to 8 or going back to 17 or to 26. We have some wiggle room versus, blackout, lights on, we have to be somewhere, we have to be a different phase. So very grateful for that wiggle room throughout the play to be able to do that.
Which age do you find the most problematic to perform?
I don't know about problematic. I would say tricky is, I feel like it's, especially with teenage girls, there's a easy thing of falling into of making them seem very one-dimensional. I mean, maybe that would be the one, but also I think that more than anything, it's my job as the actor to give her as much empathy and as much grace and give her as much, 360-ness as possible.
I always find when grown actors have to play young children, a lot of times it airs into you're playing up the childishness of it, as opposed to a real child is just a person who's focused on their things. For actors, that can be a really fine line of be childlike but not childish.
No, oh my God, it's very challenging. Again, I'll speak for myself. Like, I think the challenging thing is to not play a mood, but play a state of being. Like the mood is like childish, versus playing the state of what a child is.
Yes.
And again, Katie Bradley has directed us to be like, no need to change your voice, no need to make it higher. Like, speak in your voice, but through your physicality and through the cadence in which you speak, we will know that you are 8 years old. And she's so right. Like, it's just about, and that I think really forces an actor to not be childish, but to be childlike, because you can't use the external or like the, the smaller tools that can maybe easily make you realize, oh, that this person's playing a child, but like, whether it's believable is a different story, right? Versus embodying it and like just trusting that you're being curious and, you're only 8 years young and you're discovering new things and, just being very present in that.
Well, I think you're in good hands with Katie Bradley. She recently did a show called Stop Kiss that also had changes in time. I'm really excited to see her next directorial. I love seeing her when she's acting. Really becoming a very good director.
Honestly, I'll be very frank. I think actor-directors are some of my favorite directors. Because I think that as a director, you have so much power within, a production, and you are kind of at the forefront of like a piece. And I think when you're an actor, along with being a director, you have that empathy for when you're working with, the actors who are going to be on stage and doing the thing every night. And she really considers, our energy and our mental health and even just like the kind of the process. She really is catered to an actor's experience, and I'm really grateful for that empathy and for her experience with that.
She is a talent, and we're lucky to have her. Hopefully we don't lose her like we did Lily.
Lily, I did Interstate with her.
Yes.
She's so great.
She is. She was in Stop Kiss.
That's right, she was.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it was just so Katie could punish her by making her wheel a hospital bed on and off stage between every scene.
Or maybe Katie just missed her.
Well, how does the play deal with these time shifts? What's the impetus for now we're going back to 8?
So our playwright, Sama Megji, who is just, again, her writing just captured me the minute that I read this play back in, April or May of this year. The way that she threads this is like, if we start at 17, right, and then jump back to 8, and then vice versa, back and forth. And she has this really wonderful talent and gift of threading things that you see when, say, they're teenagers, and then kind of seeing where that would come from when we jump to 8. So that's going to happen. Oh, wait, I remember that thing from when they were 17, and we're seeing it happen now at 8. Is this the birth of that? And then even seeing things that you might see for the first time when they're 8, and then seeing it come back when they're 17. So seeing either being reminded of a thing when they were 17, seeing it when they were 8, or seeing it for the first time when they were 8, and then seeing kind of come back. So like seeing where things are birthed from, seeing where things are rooted from, where things started in their friendship between Noor and Sajida. It's just a really beautiful threading. It must be one of the biggest challenges of a playwright is to kind of be like, what are the motifs? What is the through line? Like, what is important to know and to bring out?
Right.
And where should I show it here as to where that first started? Like, or when did this pattern kind of become a thing? And will it stay here when they're older? She's just a really smart writer.
How to make that organically happen?
Yeah,
so
and that too, let alone, yeah.
Oh, too on the nose. Yeah.
Yeah, how to make it subtle, how to make it poetic, how to make it grounded in something real versus
Right.
being like, this is that.
So what's next for you?
Rob, I'm gonna be so real with you, as heart to heart. Actors hate that question. we despise that question. And for a few reasons. I'll speak for myself. First of all, the industry is so nebulous, right? Again, as actors, very little is up to us. All we do every day is go, oh, I'm here to show what I can do for this project. Cool, let me go. Great, do you want some of this? It's very vulnerable to show up every day with songs, with material, with monologues, with scenes. And then, and also doing a litmus test with teams behind the table, like with the director and with the creative team to see if it's a good fit, That's a very vulnerable thing to do day in and day out. And oftentimes we often get rejections. So it's very not up to us. Yep. That's the first thing. Two, I've been learning as an actor to not center acting in my life. Okay. Like to not center acting as a career in my life. Because I think that centering careers in one's life can often, one, feed capitalism. And then two, make you forget why you're living in the first place. You know? So I will speak for me of what's next for me. I'm trying to survive this fascist system that we're in, first and foremost. Because again, there might not even be, art will always survive in a fascist society, period. I firmly believe that. But whether Broadway or off-Broadway or, structures of theater will be able to survive, I don't know. I don't know right now. So what's next for me is I am trying to survive in this fascist society, stay close to the people that I love, and find a way to survive and help others survive. Because right now I'm really feeling like all we have is today. Keep going.
Find joy where you can. Because that's important too.
Precisely.
Well, thank you for talking with me. It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
If you hear anything on Interstate,
Okay,
I would really like to know.
I'll shoot you a DM.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. We'll have a link to the Theater Moo website so you can read about the show that's coming up and purchase tickets. I'll also have a review of the show after I see it. I want to thank Sushma Saha. Sushma Saha for joining me today. It was great to reconnect after so many years. I follow you on Facebook, of course, and my son George follows you on YouTube. There must be videos of you singing out there. Okay, it's like, there's a new video. Yeah. Like,
I do post stuff on there. That's
true.
We'll tell George because cool. I'm flattered and I say hello, please.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Thanks.
Yeah.
Whether it moves me to cheers or tears, puts me to sleep or gets me up on my feet. These are my Minnesota Honest reviews. Truthful, but not hurtful. Big Fish, which is my pick of the week, could just as easily be called Dad Jokes and Tall Tales, the musical. I first saw Tim Burton's film version 22 years ago with my son Alex, who laughed hysterically at a scene where a baby slides down the aisle of an airplane. At least, I think that happened. I wouldn't be surprised to discover there's no such scene in the film. Memory can be like that. Sometimes things get forgotten, memories intermingle with others, while some become exaggerated, which is a nice explanation of how the brain of the main character in Big Fish works. Edward Bloom, professional storyteller and part-time parental embarrassment, is dying. His son Will, soon to be a dad himself, wants to know who his father really is. Beyond the giants, mermaids, circus adventures, and, oh yeah, foiling the assassination of a general, normal dad stuff. The show is equal parts ridiculous dad jokes, my demographic, so I approve, and emotional moments about connection, love, and legacy. The songs by Andrew Lippa won't be stuck in your head, but they work in the moment. What does stick are the performances. Ben Bakken as Edward is pure energy with a twinkle that screams, "Yes, I'm about to tell you a fish story." Kate Bian as his wife Sandra is the glue of the show as the woman who patiently loves this man who casually drops mermaids into conversation. Director Scott Ford and the creative team keep the stories flying by, sometimes literally. Costume designer Samantha From Haddow deserves an award for giving all 21 cast members about 87 wardrobe changes each. And shout out to Justin Bedecourt and Alex Stokes, who prove there are no small roles, only small chances to get huge laughs, and they take them. At 2 hours and 35 minutes, including intermission, thanks to the mix of stories and heartfelt through-line, the show breezes by faster than Edward can say, "Did I ever tell you about the time I..." Alex and I loved revisiting Edward, Will, and their merry band of improbable characters. Big Fish runs through September 28th at Lyric Arts in Anoka. We'll link to their website in the show notes to make it easy for you to purchase tickets. Stephen Sondheim's Anyone Can Whistle is the oddball cousin of his catalog. Opened on Broadway in 1964, it closed in about a week and has been hiding in the cookie jar of musical theater ever since. It's rarely staged, making this in-concert production a treat. And don't worry, in concert doesn't mean actors just standing behind music stands singing the songs. This is a full reading of this delightfully oddball show. Minneapolis Musical Theater's production proves that weird doesn't mean unworthy. A broke town fakes a miracle to lure tourists. Nurse Faye Apple shows up with the asylum patients, aka cookies. Dr. Hapgood arrives with questionable credentials, and Faye goes undercover in a bright red wig and a French accent, because why not? Add in the mayoress and a possibly transactional sexual relationship with her comptroller. The result is romance and questionable government ethics swirling together like a fever dream. Hope Quinn as Faye and William Lucas as Hapgood lead the cast with strong vocals and charm. Benjamin Cruz and Mary Palazzolo chew scenery as the corrupt officials, Comptroller Shub, and the mayoress, and the ensemble leans into the chaos. Director Max Wotanowitz and music director Walter Tambor get serious mileage out of a four-person band, making this shaggy Sondheim gem feel full and alive. It's not perfect, more Urinetown's eccentric sibling than Broadway blockbuster, but it's clever, funny, and features some great songs. Short run though. It ends September 14th. Catch it before the miracle disappears. Check out the show notes for a link to the theater website to purchase tickets.
Do I really have to go? Hard pressed to find a reason to brave the cold. So warm inside your cabin, give me just another moment. Wrapped inside the blanket of your body, the blanket of your body. Time to hit the open road. Loving arms await me, their domain knows me alone. Never a single question, 35 years full of holiday cheer, and still no invitation for my plus one.
And now the time has come to say so long. Thanks again to Sushma Saha for chatting with me about Interstate the Musical and Maybe You Could Love Me, the Theater Move production, which opens Thursday, September 11th at Mixed Blood Theater in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood of Minneapolis. We'll link to Theater Move's website in our show notes, as well as to Lyric Arts and Minneapolis Musical Theater, so you can purchase tickets to all the shows we featured on this episode. Theater companies, if you're interested in sponsoring an episode of The Stages of Minnesota, you can email me at robdunkelberger@thestagesofmn.com. That's also where viewers can reach me if you have comments, questions, suggestions of topics you'd like to see covered, or want to join the Stages of Minnesota +1 Club. What's that? What's the Stages of Minnesota +1 Club? I introduced it on last week's episode. I'm not sure if I should tell you if you're behind in your viewing, and with all this sneaking up on people you've been doing lately. In fact, I'm not going to tell you about it. Oh, who am I kidding? I can't stay angry with you. Tell you what, let me show you what you missed. As a reviewer, I generally receive 2 tickets for the shows I'm going to review. One for me and one for my +1. Since I spend 95% of my free time on things related to the stages of Minnesota, it's important that when I'm at a show, I can incorporate time with my family and friends into that experience. But from time to time, no one is available to go to a show, or someone cancels at the last minute. Rather than let that ticket go unused, I'm starting the Stages of Minnesota +1 Club. These tickets are free and open to anyone who is interested in attending a show with me. Whether you're involved with theater or just a fan, whether we know each other or we've never met, I'm looking forward to meeting my viewers and sharing a show with them. The only ask is that you consent to a photo, and I'd appreciate a post on your social media accounts for the theaters that gave us the tickets and the shows we're seeing. I'll warn you, these available +1s come in streaks. Sometimes every show that week is available. Other times, there's a long time between unused +1s. They also frequently result from a change in plans last minute. So it's not unusual for me to send a text at 4 or 5 p.m. for a show that evening. That's why it's nice to have a larger pool to draw from. To get on the Stages of Minnesota +1 list, send your cell number along with your name to me at robdunkelberger@thestagesofmn.com. I'll add you to the list, and whenever I have a +1, I'll send a group text to everyone in the club. Here is the important thing to remember. Never reply to that group text thread. Replying to the group text will result in being removed from the +1 club. Once I add you to my +1 list, I'll send you a confirmation text, so you will have my number to save in your contacts. If you receive a +1 text and are available and want to attend, send me a text directly. I will respond to the first one received with instructions on where to meet. A couple of things to remember. The first rule of +1 Club is don't reply to group texts. Secondly, there's no need to text a response unless you're able to attend. I really don't need 20 texts letting me know you wish you could be there but aren't available. Thirdly, make sure you are available and can meet me at the theater 30 minutes before the curtain time. Fourthly, sometimes I find out I need a +1, rush to get the word out to find a taker, and then get in my car or have to turn my phone off for work or some other reason. I will check for replies as soon as possible. And lastly, do not reply to the group texts. Nobody wants that. You may have noticed that this week's At a Show With segment was a bit shorter than usual. Well, there's a domino effect at work here. First, let me share that I started a new job last week, or perhaps more accurately, a job. Prior to that, and during the launch of the show, I was unemployed for a time. What working and putting this show together every week means is that there have to be some accommodations made. Gone are the days of 5 or 6 show weeks. It's going to have to be 2, occasionally 3 shows a week. I know I said that back in the blog days, but this time I absolutely cannot exceed that if I want to get an episode out each week, which is still the plan. But even with a reduction in shows, other changes have to be made. I've said it all along that I'd like the episodes to come in between 20 to 30 minutes, no longer. I don't think, aside from the fringe mini episodes, that we ever got anywhere near being under 30 minutes. But this fall, we're going to get there. The blog reviews have already gotten shorter, and the video reviews will be even shorter as they were in today's episode. If you want to know more about a show, you can read all of my reviews in full on my blog at thestagesofmn.com. And if you're curious about a show I haven't reviewed, don't forget to follow the Twin Cities Theater bloggers on Facebook. Chances are one of my colleagues will have reviewed it. With fewer shows being attended, there's less opportunity for photos with you. But that's where you can help out. Even this week, there were a couple of actors I recognized at shows or staff that I could have approached to get a photo with, but I got shy. So, if you see me out at a show or anywhere, don't be shy, say hi. Let's get a photo together and put you on the stages of Minnesota. I'll continue to try and do my best to approach folks I recognize as well for photos. That's a good way to push ourselves out of our comfort zones and to make positive connections. We all need to do our best. That's a rule here at the Stages of Minnesota. Thanks as always to Ryan Lee for the generous use of his music. Every note of music used on the Stages of Minnesota comes from his albums, which you can find at ryanlee.bandcamp.com. Whether you're watching the YouTube edition or listening to the podcast version, I am so happy to have you with me. If you enjoyed the show, don't keep it to yourself. The Stages of Minnesota is like a parent's love. There's enough for everyone. Talk it up in line at the grocery store, share with your dentist, and feel free to tattoo the logo on your forehead. Email me for the QR code and logo if you need them for that. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and review the show. Until next week, as Carol Jackson said in her best Buster Keaton impression,
all over but the shouting. Every soul needs light, but mine's been wasting away in the afternoon shade, out of sight. And I am not the pure and perfect one, but my branches are still bent toward the sun.